The scarlet dragonfly enters the frame already in motion, its body a living ember suspended against open sky, wings beating so fast they dissolve into transparency. This is not flight in the casual sense of drifting or gliding. This is controlled violence, refined by millions of years of aerial combat. The air around the dragonfly is not empty space, but a three-dimensional battlefield filled with invisible trajectories, intersecting vectors, and fleeting opportunities measured in fractions of a second. Every movement of its body is a calculation, every wing beat an adjustment, as it patrols above ponds, rivers, and wetlands where flying insects rise from vegetation in dense, unpredictable swarms. In this space, hesitation is fatal, and the scarlet dragonfly has evolved to hesitate less than almost any other predator on Earth. What sets dragonflies apart from other aerial hunters is not simply speed, though speed is part of the story. Their true advantage lies in acceleration and control. The scarlet dragonfly can go from hovering stillness to explosive pursuit almost instantly, driven by two independent pairs of wings that beat out of phase with one another. Unlike birds or bats, which rely on coordinated wing strokes, dragonflies can alter the angle, timing, and amplitude of each wing independently, allowing them to surge forward, break mid-air, slide sideways, or pivot around their own center of mass. This mechanical freedom gives them access to flight maneuvers that seem to defy intuition, including sudden vertical climbs and backward motion without turning the body. In the chaotic airspace above water, where prey insects dart unpredictably, this flexibility is the difference between dominance and failure. The scarlet dragonfly does not chase prey in the way most predators do. Instead, it intercepts. High-speed studies reveal that dragonflies calculate where their prey will be, not where it is now. The dragonfly locks its head onto the target and holds it steady while the body adjusts its flight path beneath, a behavior known as head-stabilized tracking. This allows the prey to remain fixed in the dragonfly's visual field, even as both animals move through the air. From this stable reference point, the dragonfly computes a collision course, adjusting its speed and angle to arrive at the exact point where prey and predator will intersect. It is the same principle used by guided missiles, but here it is performed by a nervous system smaller than a grain of rice. Vision makes this strategy possible. The scarlet dragonfly's head is dominated by compound eyes so large they nearly touch at the top, wrapping around the skull to provide almost complete visual coverage. Each eye contains tens of thousands of individual facets, each sampling a tiny portion of the visual world. Together, they give the dragonfly near 360-degree awareness, with exceptional sensitivity to motion. While many animals rely on binocular overlap for depth perception, dragonflies excel at detecting speed and direction, allowing them to track multiple moving targets at once. Their visual processing is so fast that they can respond to changes in prey movement almost instantaneously, filtering out irrelevant background motion such as swaying plants or drifting clouds. This sensory advantage is paired with a flight control system that prioritizes stability and responsiveness. Dragonfly wings are not rigid structures, but flexible membranes reinforced by a lattice of veins that distribute stress and manipulate airflow. As each wing twists during the stroke, it generates vortices that increase lift and reduce energy loss. The result is a hovering capability that rivals that of hummingbirds, combined with burst acceleration that few insects can match. The scarlet dragonfly can remain suspended above a single patch of water, holding position against shifting wind, before launching into pursuit with lethal precision. In these moments, the air itself becomes a resource to be exploited, shaped, and redirected by wing beats too fast for the human eye to resolve. Capture is swift and final. The dragonfly does not rely on jaws alone, but on a basket formed by its spiny legs, which it thrusts forward in flight to scoop prey directly out of the air. Once trapped, the insect is shredded and consumed mid-air, often without the dragonfly ever landing. This efficiency allows it to remain on patrol for long periods, converting flight directly into energy intake. Mosquitoes, midges, flies, and even other dragonflies are all potential targets, and the scarlet dragonfly's presence can significantly alter the structure of local insect communities. In wetlands where dragonflies are abundant, populations of disease-carrying insects are often suppressed. A quiet ecological service performed by a predator few people notice closely. Yet the most surprising truth about this aerial executioner is that its life begins far from the sky. Before the scarlet dragonfly ever claims the air, it spends the majority of its existence underwater. The larval stage, known as a nymph, inhabits ponds and slow-moving streams, where it becomes a very different kind of predator. Here, the dragonfly trades wings for camouflage and patience, burrowing into sediment or clinging motionless to submerged vegetation. Its body is squat and armored, built to withstand currents and ambush prey in confined spaces. This underwater hunter breathes through gills hidden inside its rectum, pumping water in and out of its body to extract oxygen in a system unlike that of any vertebrate. The nymph's defining weapon is a hinged, extendable lower jaw called a labium, which can be launched forward with explosive force to snatch prey. In an instant, this masked structure unfolds, seizing tadpoles, small fish, and aquatic insects before retracting just as quickly. The mechanism relies on stored hydraulic pressure rather than muscle alone, allowing for rapid strikes even in cold water, where muscle performance is reduced. In this submerged world, the dragonfly is already practicing the art of interception, predicting prey movement and striking not where the target is, but where it will be. This dual life, aquatic and aerial, gives the scarlet dragonfly an ecological reach few predators can match. As a nymph, it helps regulate populations within freshwater systems, influencing which species thrive and which decline. As an adult, it carries that predatory pressure into the air, linking aquatic and terrestrial ecosystems through its own transformation. Nutrients consumed underwater are exported to the sky, while adult dragonflies eventually return to water to reproduce, completing a cycle that ties ponds and wetlands into broader food webs. This connection is fragile, dependent on clean water and intact habitats. Polluted or drained wetlands break the dragonfly's life cycle at its foundation, silencing a predator long before it ever takes flight. When the time comes to leave the water, the transformation is both abrupt and irreversible. The nymph climbs from the water onto a reed or stone, its skin splitting open as the adult form pulls itself free. Wings unfurl and harden, eyes swell into their final shape, and the body floods with air. Within hours, the dragonfly is airborne, trading the dense resistance of water for the thin unpredictability of air. The skills learned underwater now find new expression above the surface, refined rather than replaced. The hunter does not change its nature, only its medium. Seen in this light, the scarlet dragonfly is not merely a beautiful insect or a symbol of summer wetlands. It is a specialist shaped by physics, physiology, and ecology into one of the most efficient predators on the planet. Its dominance of the air is not accidental, but the result of precise adaptations layered across life stages, environments, and evolutionary time. Every successful interception, every mid-air kill, is the visible outcome of a system tuned for prediction, control, and relentless efficiency. In the open sky above still water, the scarlet dragonfly reigns not through brute force, but through perfect timing. The leopard lacewing drifts into view as if carried by accident rather than intent, its flight slow and floating, its wings held wide like fragments of patterned glass. At first glance, it appears vulnerable, almost decorative, a living ornament suspended above grasses and low shrubs. Sunlight filters through its wings, igniting a mosaic of spots, bands, and translucent panels that seem too intricate to belong to something involved in daily survival. In ecosystems governed by speed, force, and efficiency, beauty is often assumed to be a liability. Yet for the leopard lacewing, appearance is not excess. It is armor of a different kind, one built not to deflect impact, but to fracture perception itself. The landscape it inhabits is visually complex. Dappled light breaks across leaves, shadows ripple with the movement of wind, and backgrounds shift constantly as clouds pass overhead. In such an environment, visibility is never absolute. Predators do not see objects in isolation. They see patterns against patterns, motion against motion. The leopard lacewing exploits this instability. Its wings are not uniformly colored, but layered with contrasting shapes that echo the textures of bark, lichen, and sunlit foliage. When the insect settles onto a branch or leaf, its outline dissolves into the background, not by vanishing, but by becoming visually unresolved. The eye of a predator searches for edges, symmetry, and continuity, and the lacewing offers none of these in a clean form. Camouflage here is not about invisibility, but about ambiguity. The leopard lacewing remains visible, yet difficult to interpret. Its spotted wings disrupt the continuity of its body, breaking it into fragments that do not immediately register as prey. Predators such as birds and lizards rely on rapid visual processing to make split-second decisions about whether to strike. A clear silhouette invites attack. A confusing one introduces hesitation. That hesitation, even if it lasts only a fraction of a second, is often enough. The lacewing may remain motionless, trusting its pattern to delay recognition until the moment passes. But the true power of the leopard lacewing's appearance emerges when it moves. As it lifts off, the slow, wavering flight combines with wing patterning to produce a shifting visual signal that is difficult to track. The spots on its wings blur and realign with each beat, creating the illusion of multiple moving targets layered over one another. To a pursuing predator, the lacewing does not behave like a single object moving through space, but like a fluctuating field of motion that resists precise targeting. The predator's visual system struggles to lock onto a stable reference point, and pursuit becomes inefficient, draining energy for little reward. This strategy works because predators are not perfect observers. Their sensory systems are tuned to common prey types and predictable movements. The leopard lacewing violates those expectations. Its coloration sits at the intersection of warning and disguise, a dual function that changes depending on context. Against a green leaf, the contrasting spots and pale membranes can appear disruptive, mimicking sunflecks and fungal growth. Against dry grass or bark, the same patterns may resemble decay or inedible material. In open air, however, those patterns become bold and conspicuous, advertising presence rather than hiding it. This apparent contradiction is not a flaw. It is a feature. Conspicuous coloration can act as a signal of unprofitability, even in species that lack strong chemical defenses. Many predators learn through experience to associate certain visual patterns with unpleasant outcomes, whether those outcomes involve toxins, bad taste, or simply wasted effort. The leopard lacewing benefits from this learning indirectly. Even if it is not truly dangerous to eat, its appearance resembles that of insects that are. In doing so, it occupies a gray area in the predator's mental map, a category of prey that is better avoided than tested. The result is reduced attack frequency, achieved not through actual harm, but through suggestion. This optical strategy extends beyond adult survival and influences the lacewing's role in the ecosystem. As an adult, it feeds primarily on nectar, pollen, and honeydew, interacting with flowering plants and aphid populations. Its slow flight and frequent landings make it a visible participant in the daytime landscape, yet one that remains largely unmolested. By avoiding heavy predation, the leopard lacewing maintains stable adult populations that contribute to pollination and energy transfer across trophic levels. Beauty, in this context, becomes a stabilizing force, shaping not just individual survival, but ecological interactions at scale. The story becomes even more complex when the lacewing's life cycle is considered. The larval stage bears little resemblance to the adult form. Lacewing larvae are active predators, equipped with curved, hollow jaws used to pierce prey and extract fluids. These larvae hunt aphids and other soft-bodied insects with efficiency, playing a significant role in regulating herbivore populations. Here, camouflage takes on a different form. The larvae are often drab, blending into stems and leaf surfaces, relying on stillness and proximity rather than visual confusion. The contrast between larva and adult highlights a recurring theme in insect evolution. Survival strategies are not static, but tailored to the demands of each life stage. The adult lacewing's wings, so central to its optical defenses, also serve as delicate instruments of thermoregulation. Their translucent membranes allow sunlight to pass through, warming the insect's body without absorbing excessive heat. This balance is critical for an animal that relies on ambient temperature to power its muscles. Too much absorption would risk overheating during prolonged exposure. Too little would leave it sluggish and vulnerable. The patterned veins and spots subtly modulate this exchange, influencing how heat is distributed across the wings and body. Coloration, in this sense, becomes a physiological tool as well as a visual one. Predator confusion does not end with sight alone. The leopard lacewing's flight path lacks the directness of more muscular insects. It drifts, stalls, and changes direction without obvious acceleration cues, making it difficult for predators to predict future position. Vision-based hunters depend on extrapolation, projecting where prey will be moments ahead. The lacewing undermines this by flying in a manner that resists linear prediction. When combined with disruptive wing patterns, the effect is compounded. The predator is left not only unsure of where the prey is, but where it will be next. In moments of danger, the lacewing may descend into vegetation rather than flee upward, allowing its wings to align with leaves and stems. Once landed, it becomes nearly indistinguishable from the background, not because it perfectly matches any single element, but because it partially matches many at once. This is the essence of effective camouflage in complex environments. Rather than copying one object, the lacewing echoes the statistical properties of the habitat itself. Spots, lines, transparency, and motion blur all reflect the visual noise of the ecosystem, embedding the insect within it rather than placing it against it. What makes this strategy particularly effective is its adaptability. The same wing pattern can function differently depending on lighting, angle, and background. In shade, the lacewing's wings appear muted and leaf-like. In bright sun, they flash with contrast, startling predators and momentarily overwhelming visual processing. This dynamic quality turns the lacewing into a living optical trick, an organism whose appearance cannot be easily categorized. For predators, categorization is efficiency. For prey, resisting categorization is survival. In a world where many animals rely on speed, armor, or venom, the leopard lacewing demonstrates another path to persistence. It survives by manipulating perception, by turning the limitations of predator senses into protective barriers. Its beauty is not incidental, nor is it a passive trait shaped solely by sexual selection. It is an active interface with the environment, a set of signals that shift meaning with context and observer. To see the leopard lacewing clearly is already to misunderstand it. Its power lies in what cannot be resolved at a glance. As it settles once more into the vegetation, wings held at rest, the lacewing seems to vanish without disappearing. The ecosystem absorbs it, light and pattern folding back into the background from which it emerged. Predators move on, attention drawn to clearer targets, and the lacewing remains, alive not because it escaped notice entirely, but because it never fully announced what it was. In the quiet arithmetic of survival, confusion can be as decisive as force. The hummingbird hawk moth enters the scene not as an arrival, but as a disruption, a blur that seems to assemble itself out of air and vibration. One moment the flowers stand undisturbed, their petals open to the afternoon heat, and the next, a living engine hangs before them, wings beating too fast to resolve, body fixed in space, as if gravity has been temporarily suspended. For an instant, the mind searches for familiar categories and finds none that fit cleanly. It resembles a bird, yet it is unmistakably an insect. It moves like a machine, yet feeds like a thief, arriving without warning and vanishing before the ecosystem can respond. This ambiguity is not accidental. It is the foundation of the hummingbird hawk moth's survival. Hovering is the defining feature of this animal's existence, and unlike the brief pauses seen in many flying insects, this is true stationary flight. The moth remains suspended in front of a flower without landing, adjusting position with microscopic corrections, its body held rigid while its wings describe wide, powerful arcs. This ability allows it to access nectar sources that would otherwise expose it to danger. Flowers are predictable places. They attract not only pollinators but ambush predators, from crab spiders waiting motionless on petals to mantises concealed among stems. To land is to commit, to slow down, to accept vulnerability. The hummingbird hawk moth refuses that bargain. It feeds without touching, extracting energy while remaining unanchored, ready to escape in any direction the moment risk appears. This strategy reshapes the interaction between moth and plant. The hawk moth's long proboscis unfurls like a flexible instrument, probing deep into tubular flowers, that many insects cannot reach. Hovering allows precise control over this process, letting the moth sample multiple blossoms in rapid succession. Each visit lasts only seconds, sometimes less, before the moth shifts laterally to the next flower, maintaining altitude and orientation throughout. From the plant's perspective, this creates efficient pollen transfer across wider distances, linking individuals that might otherwise remain reproductively isolated. From the moth's perspective, it minimizes exposure time, reducing the window during which predators can react. The energy cost of hovering is immense. Remaining airborne without forward motion demands continuous lift generation, and lift requires power. The hummingbird hawk moth meets this demand with a flight apparatus built for efficiency under extreme load. Its wings are long and narrow, optimized for high aspect ratio flight, producing strong lift with each stroke. Unlike insects that rely on erratic flapping to stay aloft, this moth maintains a steady wing beat rhythm that balances force and endurance. The thoracic muscles driving those wings are among the most metabolically active tissues in the insect world, consuming energy at a rate that would exhaust less specialized animals within moments. To sustain this output, the hummingbird hawk moth lives on a razor-thin energy margin. Nectar is not a luxury but a necessity, fuel burned almost as quickly as it is acquired. Sugars absorbed from flowers are rapidly converted into usable energy, circulating through the moth's body to feed muscle contractions that never truly pause. This creates a feedback loop between foraging efficiency and survival. A moth that feeds slowly or inefficiently will simply run out of energy, losing the ability to hover and with it, the ability to escape. Precision is not optional, it is existential. The moth's physiology reflects this pressure. Its body temperature must remain within a narrow range for muscle performance to remain optimal. Before feeding, especially in cooler conditions, the hummingbird hawk moth engages in warm-up behavior, vibrating its flight muscles to raise internal temperature. This is thermoregulation through motion, converting chemical energy directly into heat. Once airborne, the heat generated by continuous wing beats helps maintain that temperature, allowing sustained activity even when ambient conditions would ground other insects. The moth becomes a self-heating organism, carrying its operating conditions with it as it moves through the landscape. Hovering also alters the rules of predator avoidance. Many predators rely on predicting prey movement, extrapolating from speed and direction to time and interception. The hummingbird hawk moth undermines this by combining stillness and sudden acceleration. While hovering, it appears fixed, but this apparent stability masks a state of readiness. The moment a threat enters its sensory field, the moth can explode into motion, accelerating forward, backward, or sideways without needing to reorient its body. This instant transition from stationary to high-speed flight leaves ambush predators striking at empty air. Vision plays a crucial role in this process. The hummingbird hawk moth possesses large compound eyes adapted for daylight activity, an unusual trait among moths. These eyes provide sharp motion detection and color discrimination, allowing the moth to identify flowers, track their position during hovering, and detect approaching threats. The world it perceives is not static but dynamic, filled with subtle shifts in light and movement that signal opportunity or danger. Hovering allows the moth to remain within this visual sweet spot, close enough to its food source to feed, far enough to react. The uncanny quality of the hummingbird hawk moth arises from this convergence of traits. It violates expectations at multiple levels. Insects are not supposed to hover like birds. Moths are not supposed to fly in full daylight. Creatures that look soft and fuzzy are not expected to behave like precision aircraft. This cognitive dissonance affects not only human observers, but predators as well. Birds accustomed to chasing insects that dart or flutter may hesitate when confronted with a hovering target that behaves like neither prey nor background. That hesitation, brief though it may be, contributes to the moth's survival. This resemblance to a bird is incidental rather than intentional, a case of convergent evolution driven by similar ecological pressures. Nectar-rich flowers reward animals that can access them quickly and efficiently, and hovering is one solution to that challenge. Birds and insects arrived at it independently, constrained by different anatomies, but guided by the same physical laws. The hummingbird hawk moth does not mimic a bird to deceive predators in a traditional sense. Instead, both bird and moth occupy the same functional niche, shaped by the demands of stationary flight and rapid escape. The moth's behavior also reflects a constant trade-off between risk and reward. Feeding in daylight exposes it to visually oriented predators, but it also allows access to flowers that produce nectar during the day and may be less crowded by nocturnal competitors. Hovering reduces some risks while introducing others, particularly energetic ones. A sudden loss of nectar availability caused by drought or habitat change can be catastrophic for a species so tightly coupled to high-energy feeding. The hummingbird hawk moth's lifestyle is therefore both powerful and precarious, dependent on landscapes that can support its metabolic needs. Migration adds another layer to this story. In some regions, hummingbird hawk moths undertake long-distance movements, tracking seasonal blooms across continents. These journeys require not just endurance, but navigational precision, guiding the moth through unfamiliar environments in search of suitable feeding grounds. Hovering remains central even here, allowing the moth to sample resources quickly as it moves, making rapid decisions about where to linger and where to continue. Migration, in this context, is not a single epic flight, but a series of calculated foraging events stitched together across space. As the moth finishes feeding, it does not depart dramatically. There is no sudden lunge or visible preparation. It simply ceases to be where it was, the hovering form replaced by empty air as it accelerates away, already aligned with its next target. The flower sways slightly in the wake of displaced air, pollen disturbed, nectar diminished, and the ecosystem registers the interaction in subtle ways. Energy has been transferred. Risk has been navigated. Time has been compressed. In the end, the hummingbird hawk moth survives not by overpowering its environment, but by exploiting its physics. Hovering allows it to exist in the narrow margin between feeding and fleeing, between visibility and vulnerability. It looks unreal because it occupies a space that feels improbable, a living solution balanced on the edge of what muscle, metabolism, and air can support. Yet it is real, and its continued presence is proof that survival does not always favor the strongest or the fastest, but sometimes the most precisely tuned. The wasp does not enter the ecosystem quietly. Its presence is announced through motion before sound, a sharp, angular flight that cuts across the air with intent rather than hesitation. Where many insects drift or meander, the wasp advances, stops, pivots, and advances again, its trajectory defined by sudden changes in direction that suggest constant assessment. This is not the movement of an animal merely passing through. It is the patrol of a creature that treats airspace as territory, one that understands the volume around it as something to be controlled, defended, and when necessary, contested. Seen against open sky or the edge of woodland, the wasp's flight resembles a series of calculated maneuvers rather than continuous travel. It accelerates hard, brakes abruptly, hovers briefly, then darts off at an angle that seems to defy the logic of inertia. These movements are powered by compact but extraordinarily responsive flight muscles, capable of rapid modulation in force and frequency. The wings themselves are stiffened along key veins, allowing the wasp to generate precise aerodynamic control even during aggressive turns. This mechanical setup gives the wasp something rare among insects: true air superiority, the ability to dictate the terms of engagement in three-dimensional space. When the wasp hunts, this control becomes a weapon. Many wasps are predators, not scavengers, and their targets range from caterpillars and flies to spiders and other wasps. Hunting flight is purposeful and efficient, often conducted at low altitude where prey activity is concentrated. The wasp scans continuously, using acute vision to detect movement and shape against complex backgrounds. Once a target is identified, pursuit is direct. There is no circling or prolonged chase. The wasp closes distance rapidly, adjusting speed and angle to intercept rather than follow, striking with jaws or sting before the prey can mount an effective escape. In these moments, the wasp behaves less like a roaming insect and more like a guided projectile. Yet this predatory precision is only one mode of operation. Equally important is the wasp's role as a defender, particularly in species that build nests and raise offspring in exposed environments. Defense flight is distinct from hunting flight, and the difference is immediately visible to those who know how to read it. When defending, the wasp does not pursue a specific prey item. Instead, it engages in threat behavior, a series of displays and maneuvers designed to deter rather than destroy. The wasp approaches intruders head-on, stopping short at close range, hovering directly in front of faces or bodies, tracking movement with unnerving accuracy. The goal here is not efficiency, but intimidation. This distinction matters because actual attacks are costly. Venom is a limited resource, and stinging exposes the wasp to risk, especially when confronting large animals. Threat displays allow the wasp to resolve conflicts without escalating to physical contact. The rapid, in-your-face flight, the audible buzz, and the bold coloration all work together to create a message that is difficult to ignore. The wasp is not hiding its presence, it is amplifying it, turning visibility into a defensive asset. Most potential threats, from mammals to birds, respond by retreating, and the wasp achieves its objective without expending venom or risking injury. Color plays a central role in this strategy. The stark patterns of yellow, black, and sometimes white are not camouflage but signals, evolved to be easily recognized across a range of lighting conditions. These colors stand out against foliage and sky alike, ensuring that the wasp is seen clearly when it wants to be. This is classic warning coloration, advertising the capacity to inflict pain rather than attempting to avoid detection. But coloration alone is not enough. It must be paired with behavior that reinforces the message. The wasp's aggressive flight patterns serve as proof of credibility, demonstrating that the warning is backed by action if ignored. Understanding when a wasp will attack requires understanding context. During hunting, the wasp is focused, efficient, and largely indifferent to larger animals unless they interfere directly. A hunting wasp is unlikely to sting a human, not because it cannot, but because it gains nothing from doing so. During defense, particularly near a nest, the calculus changes. The presence of larvae and stored resources elevates the value of the site, and tolerance for intrusion drops sharply. In these moments, threat behavior escalates more quickly, and the distance at which an intruder triggers a response shrinks. The wasp becomes less patient, more direct, and more willing to follow through. The transition from threat to attack is often signaled by subtle changes. The wasp may reduce the distance of its approach, strike the intruder with its body, or land briefly to reorient. These actions are tests, probing responses and gauging whether intimidation is sufficient. Only when these signals fail does the wasp deploy its sting. This sequence is not emotional but strategic, shaped by natural selection to balance deterrence with self-preservation. A wasp that stings unnecessarily risks injury or death, and over time, such individuals are removed from the population. The sting itself is a specialized tool, capable of delivering venom that disrupts nerve function and causes intense pain. In social wasps, venom also carries chemical signals that can recruit nestmates, escalating defense from individual to collective. This transforms a single wasp into the forward element of a larger response, where air superiority becomes a group phenomenon. Multiple wasps converge on the perceived threat, their combined flight patterns creating a chaotic, overwhelming display that few predators are willing to challenge. In this way, individual flight control scales up into colony-level defense. Despite their fearsome reputation, wasps play crucial ecological roles that extend beyond aggression. As predators, they regulate populations of herbivorous insects, reducing pressure on plants and influencing community structure. As scavengers and occasional pollinators, they contribute to nutrient cycling and plant reproduction. Their nests, built from chewed plant fibers, are themselves microhabitats, supporting parasites, predators, and decomposers. The wasp's dominance of the air is therefore not an isolated trait, but part of a broader network of interactions that shape ecosystems. The comparison to a fighter jet is more than metaphor. Like such machines, wasps are optimized for rapid response, precision control, and dominance within a defined airspace. Their design reflects trade-offs that favor maneuverability over endurance, intimidation over stealth, and control over brute force. They do not linger without purpose. Every movement serves a function, whether it is locating prey, guarding resources, or broadcasting a warning. For humans, encounters with wasps often feel personal, charged with anxiety and misunderstanding. We tend to interpret threat displays as malice rather than communication. In reality, the wasp is doing what evolution has trained it to do: resolve conflicts efficiently while minimizing unnecessary risk. When its signals are recognized and respected, violence is usually avoided. When they are ignored, the wasp escalates, not out of spite, but out of necessity. In the layered airspace above fields, gardens, and forests, the wasp remains a dominant presence. It patrols, hunts, and defends, with a confidence earned through millions of years of refinement. Its flight carves invisible boundaries, its behavior enforces them, and its reputation ensures compliance more often than not. To understand the wasp is to understand that power in nature is not always quiet or hidden. Sometimes it announces itself loudly, daring challengers to test it, and survives precisely because most choose not to. The praying mantis occupies the ecosystem not through motion, but through absence. It is present in the foliage long before it is perceived, suspended among leaves and stems in a posture that seems less like concealment and more like a mission. The mantis does not hide behind cover, so much as it becomes part of the vertical architecture of the plant itself, its elongated body aligned with branches, its limbs angled to echo veins and petioles. In bright daylight, when vision dominates survival, the mantis survives by offering nothing for the eye to resolve. Predators pass within reach without reacting. Prey moves freely beneath it, and the world continues as if the mantis were not there at all. This stillness is not passive. It is an active physiological state maintained at cost. The mantis must hold tension in muscles without movement, balancing gravity, wind, and its own body weight while remaining visually inert. Micro-adjustments occur constantly, too small to register as motion, compensating for shifting leaves or changes in light. The mantis tracks its surroundings with compound eyes capable of stereoscopic vision, a rare trait among insects. This depth perception allows it to judge distance with remarkable accuracy, essential for a predator that commits to attack only once. There is no pursuit phase, no correction mid-strike. The mantis either succeeds immediately or fails entirely. Ambush mechanics define the mantis's entire predatory strategy. Unlike hunters that rely on speed over distance, the mantis relies on compression of time. It waits until prey enters a narrow, three-dimensional strike zone directly in front of its body. Flies, moths, butterflies, and even small vertebrates move through this space unaware, their attention focused elsewhere. The mantis does not react to every movement. It filters relentlessly, ignoring unsuitable targets and waiting for the exact alignment of distance, angle, and orientation. This selectivity is crucial. Striking too early wastes energy and reveals position. Striking too late allows prey to escape. Precision is survival. When the strike comes, it is almost impossible to see. The mantis's raptorial forelegs unfold and close in a fraction of a second, driven by a combination of muscle power and elastic energy stored in the joints. The motion is not a simple grab, but a complex sequence of extension, rotation, and closure, each phase timed to maximize capture probability. Spines lining the forelegs interlock around the prey, forming a living trap that prevents escape, even if the initial grip is imperfect. To human observers, the attack appears supernatural not because it is violent, but because it seems to bypass the visible buildup that normally precedes movement. One frame, the mantis is motionless. The next, the prey is already restrained. This illusion is amplified by the mantis's posture. By holding its forelegs folded beneath the thorax, the mantis reduces its apparent size and breaks up its outline. The body becomes a vertical line, the limbs indistinguishable from leaf fragments or twigs. When the legs unfold during a strike, they emerge from a position the eye had already dismissed as background. The brain, whether human or animal, struggles to reconcile this sudden emergence of structure from apparent nothingness. The result is a perception of teleportation rather than motion, a predator appearing where none existed before. The mantis's head plays a critical role in this process. It can rotate nearly halfway around, allowing the insect to track prey without shifting its body. This decoupling of vision and posture preserves camouflage while maintaining awareness. The mantis can follow a moving insect with its eyes alone, calculating trajectory and timing without betraying its presence. Only when the strike is inevitable does the body move, and by then it is too late for the prey to respond. Energy efficiency underlies this entire strategy. Ambush predation allows the mantis to minimize movement, conserving energy in environments where prey availability may fluctuate. Rather than spending time and calories chasing food, the mantis lets food come to it. This is particularly advantageous in dense vegetation, where movement increases visibility and collision risk. Stillness in this context is not laziness, but optimization, a way to align metabolism with opportunity. Camouflage extends beyond color and shape into behavior. Many mantis species sway gently when vegetation moves, mimicking the rhythm of leaves in the wind. This motion is slow and deliberate, carefully matched to environmental cues. Predators scanning for independent movement fail to distinguish the mantis from its surroundings. Even prey insects, highly sensitive to sudden motion, interpret the sway as background noise. The mantis disappears not by freezing entirely, but by moving in a way that carries no informational weight. Despite this reliance on subtlety, the mantis is capable of confronting prey that appears impossibly large. Small birds, lizards, and rodents have all been documented falling victim to mantis attacks. These events are rare, but they reveal the upper limits of the mantis's predatory capabilities. The same precision that allows capture of flies scales upward, limited not by technique, but by physics. When a mantis strikes a bird, it targets the head or neck, areas where control yields immediate advantage. The forelegs clamp down, spines anchoring into feathers or skin, while the mantis uses its mandibles to inflict damage. The outcome depends on grip strength, positioning, and the element of surprise. Many attempts fail, but some succeed, expanding the mantis's ecological role beyond what its size would suggest. These oversized attacks carry significant risk. A struggling vertebrate can injure or kill a mantis through sheer force. That such attempts occur at all underscores the mantis's evolutionary gamble. It is a predator designed for certainty, yet occasionally it pushes beyond safe margins. When it succeeds, the reward is enormous, providing nutrients that may sustain the mantis through long periods of scarcity. When it fails, the cost can be fatal. This balance between restraint and opportunism defines the mantis's place in the food web. The mantis itself is not invulnerable. Birds, reptiles, and mammals prey upon it, and its reliance on camouflage means that detection often equals death. The mantis does not flee effectively once discovered. Its defense lies almost entirely in not being noticed in the first place. This makes habitat integrity crucial. Changes in vegetation structure, light patterns, or plant diversity can strip the mantis of its invisibility, exposing it to predators it cannot outrun. In this way, the mantis becomes an indicator of ecosystem stability, thriving where complexity remains intact. What makes the praying mantis so unsettling to observe is not just its speed or its predatory success, but the way it challenges expectations of cause and effect. We are accustomed to movement preceding action, to warning before impact. The mantis offers neither. Its attacks collapse preparation and execution into a single instant, bypassing the stages our perception relies upon. The result feels unnatural, as though the rules of motion have been briefly suspended, and yet nothing about the mantis is supernatural. Its abilities are the product of anatomy, physics, and evolutionary time, refined into a strategy that trades motion for timing and visibility for certainty. In the layered canopy of leaves and stems, the mantis remains above the chaos, waiting. When the moment aligns, it acts, and the ecosystem registers the outcome only after the fact. Prey disappears. Energy changes hands. The mantis resumes its stillness, once again indistinguishable from the plant it inhabits, having proven that in nature, the most devastating force is sometimes the one that moves least. The jumping spider claims territory where gravity becomes negotiable. It does not hunt along the ground like most arthropods, nor does it depend on vegetation to conceal its approach. Instead, it occupies the vertical planes of the environment: walls, rocks, tree trunks, and in human landscapes, windows, railings, and the sharp geometry of buildings. These surfaces are not obstacles but hunting platforms, elevated vantage points from which the spider surveys open air below. From this height, the world rearranges itself into ledges, gaps, and corridors of movement, an aerial landscape navigated not by flight, but by controlled leaps that collapse distance with sudden precision. Urban environments, with their flat plains and hard edges, have become an accidental expansion of this spider's natural arena. Concrete walls mimic cliff faces. Window frames resemble rock fissures. Metal railings and brick seams create predictable pathways for insects drawn to heat and reflected light. The jumping spider moves through these spaces with confidence, stopping often, body angled forward, front legs raised slightly as sensory instruments rather than limbs. It appears alert rather than hidden, exposed rather than concealed, yet this visibility is misleading. The spider is not relying on camouflage, it is relying on awareness. Vision defines the jumping spider's predatory style. Unlike most spiders, which depend heavily on vibration and touch, jumping spiders possess a visual system that rivals that of small vertebrates in complexity. Their forward-facing principal eyes provide sharp, color-sensitive vision with the ability to resolve fine detail. These eyes function like telescopes, capable of zooming in on distant objects by adjusting internal structures rather than external lenses. Surrounding secondary eyes provide a wide field of view, detecting motion across nearly the entire horizon. Together, they form a layered sensory array that allows the spider to scan for prey while remaining motionless. Third, body oriented toward multiple potential trajectories at once. This visual acuity transforms how the jumping spider hunts. It does not rely on chance encounters or passive traps. It actively selects targets. From a vertical surface, the spider watches insects pass through open air or land briefly on adjacent structures. It evaluates size, speed, and direction, filtering out prey that would be too fast, too large, or poorly positioned. This assessment happens silently, without visible movement, as the spider's internal processing weighs energy cost against probability of success. Only when the conditions align does the spider commit. Distance judgment is the critical challenge in this environment. Launching across a gap leaves no room for correction. There is no mid-air steering, no second attempt. The jumping spider solves this with a form of range-finding that borders on mechanical elegance. By shifting its head and subtly altering viewing angles, the spider uses parallax, the relative movement of objects across its visual field, to calculate distance. This information is integrated with knowledge of its own jumping capacity, stored through experience and instinct. The result is a precise internal model of space, allowing the spider to strike targets several times its own body length away, with startling accuracy. When the jump happens, it is sudden and complete. The spider compresses its legs, builds internal hydraulic pressure, and releases it in a single explosive movement. The leap carries it through open air toward the target, body aligned, legs extended forward to grasp. A silk dragline trails behind, a safety tether anchored to the launch point, ensuring that failure does not equal freefall. This line is not a backup plan so much as an integrated component of the jump, part of a system that balances risk with redundancy. If the spider misses, it can climb back up and reassess, losing time but not life. Hunting on vertical surfaces creates a unique predator-prey dynamic. Insects moving along walls or hovering near windows are often preoccupied with navigating reflected light, temperature gradients, or air currents shaped by architecture. Their attention is divided, their escape routes constrained by flat plains that offer fewer directions of movement than open ground. The jumping spider exploits this. From above or to the side, it launches across angles prey does not anticipate, arriving from directions rarely guarded against. The attack feels like an air raid, sudden descent from an elevated position, executed with no warning and resolved almost instantly. Urban prey communities adapt poorly to this kind of predator. Many insects evolved in environments where threats approached from below or within foliage, not from sheer surfaces or artificial edges. Windows attract flies, moths, and mosquitoes by reflecting sky or emitting warmth. To the jumping spider, these windows are hunting blinds, transparent barriers that concentrate prey movement into predictable zones. The spider patrols window frames and corners, places where insects pause or collide, turning architectural features into ecological traps. Despite its apparent boldness, the jumping spider remains energy efficient. Its active hunting style is balanced by long periods of stillness, during which it observes without moving. This sit-and-scan approach minimizes unnecessary effort, conserving energy for the moments when precision matters. Unlike web-building spiders, which invest resources into silk structures that must be maintained and repaired, the jumping spider invests in sensory processing and muscular control. Its energy budget is allocated toward decision-making and execution rather than infrastructure. Thermoregulation plays a subtle role in this lifestyle. Vertical surfaces, especially in cities, absorb and radiate heat differently throughout the day. The jumping spider uses this to its advantage, selecting hunting spots that maintain optimal body temperature for muscle performance. A sunlit wall in the morning provides warmth that increases reaction speed. As temperatures rise, the spider retreats into shade or adjusts its activity, avoiding overheating. This fine-scale thermal awareness allows it to operate effectively across a wide range of conditions, extending its hunting window beyond what many arthropods can tolerate. The spider's relationship with height also alters its vulnerability. From elevated positions, it is less exposed to ground-based predators such as ants or beetles. Birds pose a threat, but the spider's small size and erratic movement reduce detectability. When danger does appear, the same jumping ability used for hunting becomes an escape mechanism, allowing the spider to drop, leap sideways, or retreat behind edges with speed that confounds pursuit. Height, once again, becomes leverage. What makes the jumping spider particularly unsettling to observe is the impression of intent. It appears to look back, to track observers with a focus that feels directed rather than diffuse. This perception arises from the alignment of its principal eyes, which face forward and move slightly within their sockets. The spider seems aware in a way that contradicts assumptions about invertebrate cognition. While it does not plan in the human sense, it does evaluate, choose, and adjust behavior based on visual information, a level of interaction that blurs the line between instinct and strategy. This cognitive sophistication has consequences beyond hunting. Jumping spiders can recognize rivals, distinguish between potential mates and threats, and adapt their behavior based on past outcomes. In urban environments, they learn which surfaces yield prey and which do not, refining patrol routes over time. Buildings become territories, their edges and corners memorized as productive or barren. The spider's world is mapped not horizontally, but vertically, a layered grid of surfaces connected by leaps. In this elevated arena, the jumping spider thrives, not because it dominates through size or strength, but because it understands space differently. It treats air as a bridge rather than a barrier, walls as hunting grounds rather than limits. Each successful jump reinforces a strategy built on vision, calculation, and commitment. Failure is rare, not because the spider is flawless, but because it refuses to act until conditions favor success. As it pauses once more on the edge of a window frame, body angled outward, the spider surveys the air below. Insects drift past, unaware that the flat surface above them is alive with attention. The spider waits, motionless, until a trajectory intersects its internal map of distance and force. Then it launches, collapsing space in a single movement, proving that in the vertical ecosystems of walls and windows, the most effective predator is the one that can turn height into certainty. The golden silk orb weaver does not chase the air, it shapes it. Where other predators move through space, this spider redesigns the space itself, turning empty corridors of flight into lethal infrastructure. Its presence is announced not by motion, but by geometry. A web suspended between trees or structures like a shimmering equation written across the air. At first glance, the web appears delicate, almost ceremonial, glowing faintly where sunlight strikes the strands. Yet this elegance hides a system built to absorb violence, a structure engineered to intercept fast-moving bodies and convert momentum into capture without tearing itself apart. Placement is the first and most consequential decision the orb weaver makes. A web built in the wrong place is wasted effort, silk dissolved by rain or torn by wind without ever stopping prey. The golden silk orb weaver reads the landscape with a sensitivity shaped by generations of failure and success. It chooses gaps between trees, paths between shrubs, edges of clearings, and corridors above streams, places where flying insects are funneled by terrain and vegetation. In forests, insects tend to follow open routes that minimize collision risk. Insects commuting between feeding and breeding grounds often reuse the same aerial highways night after night. The spider positions its web precisely across these invisible lanes, transforming predictable movement into vulnerability. Height matters. Too low, and the web fills with debris and ground-hugging insects of little value. Too high, and wind shear increases while prey density drops. The golden silk orb weaver typically suspends its web at a height where large, energy-rich insects travel, beetles, moths, wasps, and dragonflies moving with purpose rather than randomness. These insects carry substantial kinetic energy, and stopping them requires more than stickiness, it requires structure. The silk itself is the foundation of this system. Golden silk is not a single material, but a composite of different silk types, each secreted for a specific function. The radial threads, which form the spokes of the web, are strong and relatively stiff, designed to transmit force outward toward anchor points. The spiral threads, coated with adhesive droplets, are more elastic, stretching under impact to absorb energy without snapping. The golden hue is not merely aesthetic. It alters how the web interacts with light, making it less visible to insects against sunlit backgrounds while remaining strong under ultraviolet exposure that would degrade other materials. Measured by weight, this silk rivals high-performance synthetic fibers in tensile strength, yet strength alone does not explain its effectiveness. What makes golden silk remarkable is its toughness, the ability to absorb energy before failing. When a fast-flying insect collides with the web, the silk stretches dramatically, redistributing force across multiple strands. Instead of stopping the insect abruptly, which would shear threads, the web decelerates it over distance and time like a safety net rather than a wall. This controlled deformation is what allows the web to handle high-energy impacts that would destroy simpler structures. The architecture of the web reveals an intuitive understanding of physics. Radial spacing is not uniform. Threads are closer together near the center, where impacts are most likely and forces highest, and farther apart toward the edges, where loads are lighter. This gradient optimizes material use, concentrating silk where it is most needed while reducing unnecessary weight. The spiral spacing also changes across the web, balancing capture efficiency against visibility and cost. Too dense, and the web becomes visible and resource-intensive. Too sparse, and prey slips through. The golden silk orb weaver solves this balance through iterative construction, adjusting spacing based on experience and environmental conditions. Anchoring is equally critical. The web is only as strong as its attachment points, and the spider selects these with care. Anchor lines are attached to sturdy substrates, tree trunks, thick branches, or man-made structures capable of absorbing transmitted forces. These lines are often reinforced, layered to prevent catastrophic failure if one strand breaks. Tension is tuned carefully. A web pulled too tight becomes brittle, snapping under stress. Too loose, and it fails to stop prey effectively. The spider calibrates this tension through behavior, plucking and adjusting threads until vibrations travel through the structure at the right speed and amplitude. Vibration is the web's sensory system. The golden silk orb weaver reads its web like an extension of its own body, interpreting oscillations to determine the size, location, and struggle of trapped prey. A small insect produces a different signature than a large one, allowing the spider to prioritize responses. Some impacts are ignored entirely, especially if the prey is too small to justify the risk of approach. Others trigger immediate action. The web becomes both trap and communication network, transmitting information faster and more reliably than sight in low-light conditions. Once prey is captured, the spider moves with deliberate efficiency. It approaches along radial threads, which are non-sticky and provide stable pathways, avoiding contact with adhesive spirals that could entangle it. This division of labor within the web is another example of engineered specialization. The spider bites to immobilize, injecting venom that rapidly subdues even large insects, then wraps the prey in silk for storage or consumption. The web remains functional throughout, often catching additional insects even as the spider works. High-energy prey presents special challenges. Large insects can damage the web through sheer force, tearing threads or breaking free if not immobilized quickly. The golden silk orb weaver mitigates this risk through redundancy and repair. Damaged sections are rebuilt, sometimes within hours, restoring structural integrity before the next peak in insect traffic. This constant maintenance reflects the web's role as both weapon and liability. It is powerful, but only when intact. The golden silk orb weaver's web also shapes the surrounding ecosystem. By selectively removing strong flyers, it influences insect population structure, reducing the abundance of species that might otherwise dominate aerial space. This has cascading effects, altering pollination patterns and predator-prey relationships. The web becomes a node of ecological control, exerting influence far beyond its physical size. There is a quiet irony in this method of hunting. The spider, relatively slow and vulnerable when off its web, relies entirely on a structure that announces its presence through shimmer and scale, yet this visibility is deceptive. To insects, the web often blends into the background, its golden threads scattering light in ways that obscure rather than reveal. What appears obvious to human eyes becomes invisible at insect speeds, especially when combined with motion blur and visual processing limits. At dawn or dusk, when light angles shift and insect traffic peaks, the web glows faintly, a luminous grid suspended between worlds. Each strand is under tension, each junction a calculated compromise between strength and flexibility. The spider waits at the hub, legs touching radial threads, monitoring vibrations that ripple outward with every breeze and collision. It does not move unless necessary. The web does the work. In the end, the golden silk orb weaver demonstrates a different model of predation. It does not outfly or outpace its prey. It predicts movement, builds infrastructure, and lets physics deliver the kill. The air itself becomes a medium to be trapped and shaped, transformed from open freedom into constrained pathways that lead inevitably to capture. Where others hunt in time, the orb weaver hunts in space, proving that in nature, the most effective weapons are sometimes the ones that never move at all. The wasp spider builds its trap in full view of the world. Unlike hunters that rely on concealment or darkness, this spider suspends its web openly among grasses and low shrubs, often in places where sunlight strikes directly and wind moves freely. The web is not tucked away or hidden in shadow. It stands upright like a signpost, its geometry stark against the background of green and brown. At the center sits the spider itself, banded in yellow and black, legs arranged symmetrically, body aligned with a bold zigzag of silk that cuts vertically through the web. To the human eye, it looks less like camouflage than a warning, a high-contrast display that seems to announce danger rather than conceal it. This apparent contradiction is the wasp spider's defining strategy. The zigzag structure, known as a stabilimentum, is not decorative. It is a deliberate visual signal embedded into the web's architecture, altering how the web is perceived by anything that approaches it. Insects do not see the world as humans do. Their visual systems prioritize motion, contrast, and ultraviolet patterns, processing information at speeds and resolutions tuned to flight. To an insect moving through tall grass, a web without visual markers can be nearly invisible until impact. The stabilimentum changes this dynamic, creating a bold, high-contrast feature that interrupts the visual field. What that interruption means to prey is the subject of ongoing ecological interpretation, but its effect is undeniable. Some insects appear to slow or adjust their flight when approaching webs with stabilimenta, possibly interpreting the zigzag as an obstacle or landmark. Others may be drawn toward it, mistaking the bright structure for a gap or a vertical plant stem. In either case, the stabilimentum influences behavior before contact is made. The web is no longer a passive trap. It becomes an active participant in shaping movement, nudging trajectories just enough to increase the chance of collision with the sticky spiral threads that surround the central pattern. The spider itself occupies the most exposed position possible, sitting in the center of the web where it is visible from all angles. This would seem to invite predation, and indeed, The wasp spider lives under constant risk from birds, wasps, and other spider-hunting animals. Its survival depends on a balance between advertisement and deterrence. The spider's coloration mirrors that of stinging insects, bold bands of yellow and black that many predators learn to associate with pain or aggression. While the spider lacks a sting, its bite and venom are unpleasant enough to reinforce avoidance when tested. The visual similarity to wasps may reduce the likelihood of attack, especially in environments where predators rely on rapid visual classification to make foraging decisions. The stabilimentum may amplify this effect. Positioned directly behind or beneath the spider's body, the zigzag silk creates a backdrop that enhances the contrast of the spider's coloration. The combined signal is difficult to ignore and potentially costly to misinterpret. A predator scanning through grass encounters not a subtle outline, but a clear, structured warning. The spider does not need to hide if it can convince others not to approach. Yet the wasp spider is not reckless. Its hunting routine reflects constant risk management. The web is built during periods of lower predator activity, often early in the day, when conditions are calm enough to allow precise construction. The spider reinforces anchor lines and tests tension, ensuring the web can withstand both prey impact and environmental stress. Once the web is complete, the spider settles into a posture that maximizes sensory input. Legs rest lightly on radial threads, ready to detect vibrations that signal prey or danger. The spider remains alert, capable of responding instantly to changes in the web's vibrational language. When prey strikes, the spider must act quickly. Insects caught in the web may struggle violently, their movements broadcasting location and size to any nearby predator. The longer prey remains active, the greater the risk that the spider itself will be detected. The wasp spider approaches with speed, biting to inject venom that rapidly immobilizes the insect. Wrapping follows immediately, silk applied in tight bands that prevent further movement. This efficiency reduces the window of vulnerability, allowing the spider to return to its central position with minimal exposure. The web itself is designed to manage these risks. The sticky spiral threads are elastic, stretching under impact to absorb energy without tearing. This elasticity reduces the intensity of vibrations transmitted through the web, dampening signals that might otherwise attract predators. The stabilimentum may play a role here as well, altering how vibrations propagate and how the web moves in wind, though this remains an area of active study. What is clear is that the web functions as both trap and filter, capturing prey while modulating the information released into the environment. The wasp spider's choice of habitat further reflects its strategy. It favors open areas with dense insect traffic, meadows, roadside verges, and agricultural margins where flying insects move predictably through vertical space. These environments offer high prey availability, but also high exposure. By placing its web where insects must pass between feeding and breeding sites, the spider maximizes return on investment. The stabilimentum, visible across this open space, becomes a focal point in an otherwise chaotic visual field, a billboard that advertises presence while manipulating perception. There is an irony in this approach. The web looks like a warning sign, yet it functions as a weapon. It suggests danger, yet it invites interaction. For prey, the stabilimentum may appear as structure or safety rather than threat, depending on how their visual systems interpret it. For predators, it may signal caution, discouraging closer inspection. The same structure serves multiple audiences simultaneously, its meaning shifting with the observer's sensory priorities and experiences. This multi-layered signaling is rare and powerful, allowing the spider to operate in plain sight without being overwhelmed by risk. The spider's life cycle adds another dimension to this strategy. Juvenile wasp spiders build smaller webs, sometimes with less prominent stabilimenta, gradually refining placement and structure as they grow. This progression suggests learning, or at least developmental tuning, with younger spiders experimenting within safer margins before committing to more exposed configurations. As adults, they occupy the most conspicuous positions, their survival hinging on the effectiveness of their visual signals and the strength of their web engineering. Despite its apparent confidence, the wasp spider remains vulnerable to changes in the landscape. Habitat simplification loss of tall grasses, and increased disturbance can remove the corridors that funnel prey into its webs. Without predictable insect traffic, the cost of building and maintaining such an exposed trap may outweigh the benefits. In this way, the wasp spider becomes a measure of ecosystem complexity, thriving where structure and diversity persist, declining where they do not. Watching a wasp spider at rest, centered in its web, the impression is one of deliberate design. The zigzag gleams softly in the light, the spider's body aligned with it as if part of the same construction. Insects pass nearby, some veering away, others colliding and vanishing into silk. Predators move through the grass, their attention drawn elsewhere. The web holds. The signals persist, and the spider waits. This is not stealth in the traditional sense. It is a form of dominance through clarity, an assertion of presence that reshapes behavior across the surrounding space. The wasp spider does not disappear. It declares itself, builds a billboard in the air, and turns that declaration into a functional trap. In doing so, it reveals a deeper truth about survival in complex environments. Sometimes, the most effective way to remain alive is not to hide, but to control how you are seen. The carpenter bee announces itself not with speed, but with mass. It enters the airspace around wooden beams, fence posts, and sun-warmed eaves like a flying weight, its body thick and glossy, wings producing a deep resonant hum that carries farther than its size would suggest. Insects built for agility often appear light, almost fragile. The carpenter bee is neither. It looks overbuilt for flight, a dense object held aloft by force rather than finesse. And yet once airborne, it reveals a level of control that contradicts every assumption its body invites. This contradiction defines the carpenter bee's role in the ecosystem. Where other bees move quickly between flowers and disappear into the background of pollination, carpenter bees linger. They hover, they patrol, they confront. The air around suitable nesting sites becomes contested territory, and the carpenter bee treats it as such. Vertical wooden surfaces, dead trees, exposed beams, and weathered structures are not simply resources. They are assets worth defending, and the defense happens almost entirely in the air. Territorial behavior in carpenter bees is most visible in males, who lack stingers but compensate with persistence and intimidation. A male carpenter bee will claim a volume of space around a nesting site or favored perch, hovering in place for long periods as if suspended by will alone. This hovering is not passive. The bee constantly adjusts position, yawing, pitching, and sliding sideways with fine control, keeping itself centered within an invisible boundary. When another insect enters this space, the response is immediate. The carpenter bee accelerates forward in a short, aggressive burst, stopping just short of collision, then retreats to its original position as if nothing happened. These aerial confrontations resemble dogfights more than chases. There is little pursuit over distance. Instead, there are repeated charges, feints, and close approaches, each one testing the resolve of the intruder. The goal is not to catch or kill, but to dominate the airspace through presence. Most intruders, including birds and other large insects, are startled by the bee's sudden acceleration and size, choosing to avoid the area rather than risk further interaction. The carpenter bee wins not by speed alone, but by occupying space with confidence. Hovering is central to this strategy. The carpenter bee's wings beat at a frequency that balances lift and endurance, allowing it to remain nearly stationary for extended periods. This costs energy, but the bee's physiology is built to support it. Carpenter bees are strong thermoregulators, capable of warming their flight muscles through internal heat generation. By vibrating these muscles before takeoff or during brief pauses, they maintain optimal performance even in cooler conditions. This allows them to hover earlier in the day and remain active longer than many competitors, extending the window during which territory can be defended. When conflict escalates, hovering gives way to bursts of speed. The carpenter bee can accelerate rapidly despite its heavy body, using powerful flight muscles anchored to a reinforced thorax. These short dashes are not sustained chases, but tactical strikes, covering just enough distance to force a reaction. The bee then brakes sharply, often returning to a hover within a body length or two. This ability to switch instantly between stillness and motion is what makes the carpenter bee so effective in aerial disputes. It controls not just where it is, but when it moves, turning timing into a weapon. These same dynamics play out during mating. Females, focused on foraging and nest construction, move through contested airspace as they search for resources. Males intercept them mid-air, approaching from the front or side, hovering briefly before attempting to mate. Success depends on precise control. Too aggressive, and the female evades or rejects the attempt. Too slow, and the opportunity passes. The male's ability to match speed, hover in close proximity, and adjust position instantly becomes a form of courtship, one conducted entirely in 3 dimensions. The heavy body of the carpenter bee makes this even more remarkable. Weight increases inertia, making rapid changes in direction more difficult. Yet carpenter bees overcome this through sheer power and wing control. Their wings are large relative to body size, generating substantial lift, while their musculature allows for fine modulation of force. The result is a flight style that looks deliberate rather than frantic, confident rather than hurried. The bee does not dart unpredictably. It moves with authority, as if every maneuver has already been decided. This authority extends to interactions with predators. Birds that attempt to snatch carpenter bees often abandon the effort after a single encounter. The bee's size makes it difficult to subdue, and its ability to confront threats directly rather than flee creates hesitation. Even though males cannot sting, their bluff is convincing. Females, which do possess stingers, are less overtly aggressive, but equally capable of rapid flight when necessary. Together, these traits reduce predation pressure, allowing carpenter bees to occupy exposed habitats that would be dangerous for smaller, more delicate insects. The ecological consequences of this behavior ripple outward. By defending nesting sites aggressively, carpenter bees ensure continuity across seasons, returning to the same structures year after year. Their tunneling activity, often misunderstood as purely destructive, creates microhabitats used by other insects once abandoned. Old carpenter bee nests become shelter for solitary bees, wasps, and even small arthropods, expanding local biodiversity. The bees' territoriality thus stabilizes not only their own populations, but the communities that form around their structures. Their aerial aggression also influences pollination dynamics. Carpenter bees often dominate floral resources within their territories, discouraging other large pollinators from lingering. This can shift pollination patterns, favoring plants that carpenter bees visit frequently while reducing access for competitors. In some ecosystems, this dominance improves pollination efficiency for certain plant species, while in others, it creates localized imbalances. The carpenter bee is not a neutral participant. Its behavior actively reshapes ecological relationships through control of space. From a distance, these aerial confrontations can appear comical, oversized insects buzzing furiously at invisible opponents. But this impression fades when viewed closely. The timing, precision, and restraint involved reveal a system finely tuned by selection. The carpenter bee does not waste energy on prolonged chases. It does not engage unless necessary. Every burst, every hover, every retreat is calculated to achieve maximum effect with minimal cost. Aggression here is not emotional, it is economical. As the sun lowers and temperatures shift, the carpenter bee adjusts its activity. Hovering becomes less frequent, bursts shorter. The territory remains, but defense relaxes as the cost of flight increases. The bee retreats to sheltered surfaces, clinging to wood that retains warmth, conserving energy for the next cycle. Even rest is strategic, positioned to allow rapid return to the air if challenged. In this interplay of mass and control, the carpenter bee reveals an alternative model of aerial dominance. It is not the fastest, nor the most agile in absolute terms. Instead, it combines strength, thermoregulation, and precision to command space through presence. Its heavy body, rather than limiting it, becomes part of its deterrent, a signal of resilience and force. The air around its territory is not simply traveled through. It is owned, defended, and shaped by repeated, deliberate action. To witness a carpenter bee in full territorial display is to see an insect rewrite the rules of flight. It hovers like a helicopter, charges like a battering ram, and holds position like a sentry. In the layered airspace around wood and sun, the carpenter bee proves that dominance does not always belong to the lightest or the quickest, but sometimes to the one powerful enough to stay exactly where it wants to be. The cicada does not enter the air quietly. It arrives as sound first, a pressure wave that rolls through trees and heat, vibrating leaves before the insect itself is ever seen. In the height of summer, when the sun locks the landscape into stillness and the air thickens with warmth, the cicada detonates into the soundscape like an alarm no one can turn off. The call is not background noise, it is an occupying force, saturating space, overwhelming subtlety, and reshaping how every other creature in the ecosystem behaves. Where cicadas sing, silence becomes rare, and attention itself becomes a contested resource. This sound is not incidental, it is survival rendered audible. Cicadas produce some of the loudest sounds relative to body size in the animal world, using specialized structures called tymbals, stiff membranes on the abdomen that buckle inward and snap back when flexed by powerful muscles. Each contraction creates a sharp click, and when repeated in rapid succession, those clicks merge into a continuous, piercing call. The abdomen acts as a resonating chamber, amplifying the signal outward. The result is volume that can dominate entire woodlands, fields, and urban green spaces, a sonic presence that travels far beyond the insect that generates it. Loudness serves multiple purposes, but at its core, it is about numbers and probability. Cicadas emerge in synchronized waves, sometimes numbering in the millions, saturating an area all at once. Individually, they are slow, clumsy flyers, poorly equipped to evade predators. Collectively, they become unmanageable. Their calls overlap and stack, creating a wall of sound that masks individual positions. Predators relying on auditory cues struggle to locate specific targets. The signal is everywhere and nowhere at once, a chorus without a center. This confusion buys time, and time is survival. During peak calling, the behavior of predators changes noticeably. Birds that normally hunt by listening for subtle wing beats or movement sounds find their sensory advantage blunted. The constant roar overwhelms fine auditory discrimination, forcing predators to rely more heavily on vision. But cicadas are not easily seen when perched among leaves and bark, their mottled bodies blending into the textured surfaces of trees. The sound draws attention broadly, but it does not point precisely. Predators may approach the noise only to find themselves surrounded by hundreds of potential targets, none clearly singled out. This sensory overload alters hunting efficiency. Some predators gorge, taking advantage of sheer abundance, while others disengage entirely, unable to focus or overwhelmed by the effort required to capture prey in such density. Small mammals and reptiles may retreat to quieter refuges. Insects that depend on sound to locate mates or avoid danger fall silent, their own signals drowned out. The cicada does not just announce itself, it suppresses the communication channels of others, temporarily reshaping the hierarchy of perception across the ecosystem. For the cicada, calling is also a gamble. Producing sound at this intensity is energetically expensive and dangerously conspicuous. The male cicada, which performs the call, exposes itself to visual predators with every vibration, yet the strategy works because it scales. When many call together, the risk to any one individual decreases. Predators can only eat so much. This phenomenon, known as predator satiation, means that even though many cicadas will die, most will survive long enough to reproduce. Loudness, multiplied across numbers, becomes armor. The timing of cicada emergence amplifies this effect. Many species spend years underground as nymphs, feeding slowly on plant roots, growing in darkness and silence. When they emerge, they do so nearly simultaneously, triggered by soil temperature and seasonal cues. This synchronization is critical. A staggered emergence would allow predators to adjust and exploit the resource efficiently. A sudden flood overwhelms them instead. The ecosystem experiences a shock event, a brief period where energy, biomass, and sound spike dramatically before receding just as quickly. Above ground, the adult cicada's life is short and intense. Feeding is minimal. The focus is reproduction, and sound is the primary tool. Males call from exposed positions on trunks and branches, each species producing a distinct pattern and frequency. Females listen, selecting mates based on call quality and timing. The loudest, most persistent callers are often the most successful, not because they dominate rivals physically, but because they dominate acoustic space. The air becomes partitioned by sound, Territory is defined not by distance, but by audibility. This acoustic competition creates its own dynamics. Calls synchronize, overlap, and sometimes alternate, forming rhythms that pulse through the environment. These patterns may reduce interference between individuals or enhance collective amplification. To human ears, the effect can be overwhelming, even disorienting. To the ecosystem, it is a signal cascade, triggering responses across multiple species. Birds adjust their singing schedules. Insects delay their own calls. Even plant pollinators alter movement patterns, responding indirectly to changes in predator activity driven by the noise. The cicada's loudness also functions as misdirection. Predators drawn to the noise may focus on calling males, while females, which are silent, move more discreetly through the environment to lay eggs. By absorbing attention, the callers protect the reproductive success of the population. The sound becomes a decoy, a sacrifice that benefits unseen participants. In this way, noise is not just communication, but coordination, distributing risk across roles within the species. Once mating occurs, the ecological impact continues. Females deposit eggs into tree branches, cutting slits into bark to insert them. This causes localized damage, sometimes weakening small branches. When the eggs hatch, nymphs drop to the ground and burrow into the soil, beginning the long subterranean phase anew. Their emergence years later will coincide with those of countless others, repeating the cycle. In the meantime, the nutrients from adult cicada bodies, consumed by predators or decomposing on the forest floor, enrich the soil. The sound may fade, but the material consequences persist. During an active cicada emergence, the entire soundscape is rewritten. The baseline noise level rises, masking subtle cues and compressing the range of audible information. This has cascading effects on behavior. Predators hunt differently, prey move differently, communication networks shift. Even humans feel the impact, experiencing altered perception and attention. The cicada demonstrates that influence in an ecosystem is not measured solely by size or strength, but by the ability to control shared channels of information. What makes the cicada's strategy remarkable is its bluntness. There is no stealth, no deception, no elegance in the traditional sense. It survives by being impossible to ignore. In doing so, it exploits a fundamental limitation of sensory systems. There is only so much signal they can process. Beyond that threshold, precision collapses. The cicada pushes the environment past that threshold and holds it there, long enough to complete its purpose. As the season wanes, the chorus thins, calls become sporadic, then cease altogether. The airspace returns to relative quiet. Birds resume patterned songs. Insects reclaim their acoustic niches. The ecosystem exhales, recalibrating after weeks of saturation. Yet traces remain in altered plant growth, in enriched soil, in the memory of predators that feasted or failed. The cicada leaves behind no web, no tunnel, no visible structure. Its legacy is acoustic. For a brief window of time, it transforms the environment through sound alone, proving that survival does not always require speed, strength, or secrecy. Sometimes it requires volume. Sometimes the most powerful adaptation is not how you move through the world, but how loudly you announce that you are there.